I would say that every business owner is feeling right now, with the last few years, absolutely frizzled and frazzled, and they're feeling slightly over it. And it's just been a really tough time for businesses.
If we're not growing, you're not growing.
So guys, hey, once again, welcome to our podcast. I am Nathan Rigney, and commonly known as the Profit Generator. This week I wanted to share with you the journey of those who finish the Profit Generator program. So for those who don't know what we do, we are accountants, and we are so much more than accountants in that we are certified in the Profit First methodology, and we just love seeing businesses being profitable. For the past 6 weeks, I have been coaching through a number of our students and clients through the Profit First methodology to help set really good foundations to help them become profitable. And my goodness, the last 6 weeks have absolutely flown by. So we've had a flying start to 2025, and I can see that amongst all our clients that 2025 so far has been probably a bit better than 2024, and especially with the relief of recently interest rates dropping, that has had a massive effect in just helping reduce those real life pressures within, whether it's running the business, the cost of life, the cost of living, and just other external factors. It's going to be very interesting as well that we've got coming up a federal election with the interest rates, the cost of living, and just all the other pressures that business owners are going through. What I would say as well is, for any politician who's watching, I would say that every business owner is feeling right now, with the last few years, absolutely frizzled and frazzled, and they're feeling slightly over it. And it's just been a really tough time for businesses. And we're going to talk everything about business today, and I'm going to talk about internal and external factors in business, and we're going to talk a little bit about our Profit Generator program. So for business owners, guys, you know what? The reality is there are going to be problems that you're going to face. And these problems are sometimes in your control, and then some of them are out of your control. And the problems that I would describe as being out of your control are external factors. They can be quite simple as, and you would have seen the news recently, like for example, Donald Trump and his tariffs. So I'll get to that in a second, but external factors, even though you can't control them, they still have an impact on your business. And sometimes the impact can be really small, and then for others the impact can be really big. And these impacts then lead on to other problems in our own family lives. But external factors, they are things that can hold you back, but they're not always going to be the end of your business. And there are things that we can do with our internal controls or internal factors that we can then make sure we get really strong, so then we can overcome those external factors that we can't control. So external factors, let's go through a few different examples of what an external factor is. As I mentioned earlier, I talked about Donald Trump, right? So Donald Trump, he's the president again, USA president. If you haven't heard of him, you're probably living under a rock. And if you just popped your head out, welcome back to society and what's happening out there. But Donald Trump is a great example. So USA president Donald Trump putting tariffs on foreign goods. So how does that work then as an external problem? The way tariffs work is it's a tax that the USA will apply on those goods. So it means that if, say for example, you're a wine producer and you send your wine over to the United States, it's going to have a tax on top of it. So then maybe a local wine that's made in California is cheaper. So when the consumer goes to buy it, they say, I can get the expensive Australian wine from the Hunter Valley, or I can get the Californian wine, and it might taste the same. And well, the reality is I'll go for the Californian one because it's a bit cheaper. So it's a way of the government really controlling, trying to get their citizens to buy their own goods, which then helps their own economy, which kind of makes sense, right? I totally get why he's doing it. And every country has tariffs, but once again, if you're the wine producer in the Hunter Valley, you've got no control over that. So that will affect you, especially if you had a lot of sales going to the United States. Other external factors could be, say, for example, HR rules on hiring staff. As an example, like casual staff members, you've got to give them a 3-hour window to work. And you also got to give them enough notice, and I think it's around 24 hours notice, that they have a shift. But whilst you can't control that, so you've got to work out, well, how many people are going to come the next day to your restaurant. External factors might be that it rains and people go, I don't want to leave because I don't want to get wet. I don't want my shoes to get wet. I don't want my hair I just straight and get frizzy. Whatever it might be. But you have said to these staff members they're going to come in. Now, as well, the staff members, they could also say, hey, it's a really bright, sunny day out there and I really want to go out with my friends instead of working. 2 minutes before the shift, just go, I'm going to cancel. Because this is the way the rules are written. And it's an external rule that you haven't written, but you've got to comply with. So once again, another external factor that impacts your business. And that could be as simple as having enough people there to get sales happening, but then also it's a cost where if you don't need them, you still got to bear that cost of having that staff member there. Another one that I want to share with you, so talk about the 3 hours on set limit on staff, but also what about parking? And this one is a local one for me. I know in Caringbah, where my office is at, that along the Kingsway, the local council years ago basically got rid of, on one side of the highway, parking. So you couldn't park your car there. So if you run a business where you physically need people to get out of a car and walk into your shop, if parking isn't there or it's maybe a long way away, they've got to park further away, it makes it harder for those businesses to go and get that foot traffic actually walking along and coming into your shop. So it's another external factor. So if you had your shop there and you had signed a lease for the next 5 years, and then in the first year, the council imposes there's now no parking or limited parking, you for the next 4 years are stuck with this situation where it's going to be harder for your customers to get to you. Because that external factor, if you can't control parking, the council's made a decision, you're just one person or one business out of many. So you can see how these external factors can have an absolute impact and also apply a whole lot of pressures that you can't control, but still, again, an impact on your profitability. Whilst as small business owners, we can't control the interest rates, we can't control inflation, we can't negotiate energy prices being lower overall, we can't rewrite tax codes, we can't force another country to get rid of their tariffs, personally ourselves as business owners. But what we can do is we can advocate for those who do have the power and the ability to have that conversation, which I would call representatives of us as people who basically understand the impact of these policies that impact the business or small business, and then being able to get that message across to them and say, hey, can you help me get this fixed up? So as a business owner, it's really important that understanding these external factors that you can't control, that they may happen or they are currently happening, and what you can do. So I think this then leads into a really good conversation, especially with the federal election popping up. We've got two different leaders who say they want to support business, but how are they going to do it? You know, what I would say with the federal election coming up is that we need leaders who, they get small business. They get that us as small business owners, that we're the engine room of the economy. We're the ones who are throwing all the money around and actually doing all the hard work. We want our representatives, our politicians to understand that the impact on changing tax policy or how super is applied or how unemployment laws and rules, how they ripple through the veins of our business as sole traders, as companies, as the local tradie, the cafe owner, or even maybe even a business who wants to start up. We've got to get them to understand how all these decisions have an impact on us. And it's about balance, right? We've got to do what's right for everyone. And really, we want that balance right so that we can continue serving our communities, keeping people employed, and we also want to do that in a profitable state. I'd be saying to our politicians, and maybe you're watching if you're a politician, are you committed to doing things to help reduce those external factors? And especially like getting rid of the red tape that just holds back anything ever happening. Now, the other thing you can do as well is if you don't want to approach a politician, it might be just as simple as throwing your vote where you think a politician's most going to help you. If you don't want to go and see a politician and share your stories of external factors that are hurting your business, you might want to think of other things like industry advocate groups that can support you. Groups can be as simple as maybe your professional industry body, or it could be a local business chamber that is there to be that meat in the middle of the sandwich for you and the politicians. Whilst we don't have complete control over external factors, there are some things we can do, and it's just a matter of just being, maybe you don't have to be 100% vocal, but just being able to go, what are those, and then finding who can best support you and getting that message out there that this is a problem for me and can you help me? Now, you've got external factors, but on the flip side, you also got internal factors. Now, the interesting part about internal factors is that unlike external factors, internal factors or internal problems, whatever they might be, how you want to describe it, you have complete control and it's your responsibility to take charge and make change. Internal problems, they could be anything from the daily grind of getting through business, and then maybe you feel that maybe you're getting nowhere in the day-to-day. It could be managing clients, it could be operations of your business, staff. It could be a whole host of different things, but internally, that's stuff that you can change and work on. So this is where business owners often get caught. They get caught up because it's easy to focus on the immediate tasks that you see there in front of you, and immediate stuff that you see need fixing. And it's almost like you get to the point where you're just putting out fires, or maybe you're just concentrating on just selling and not looking at what you need to do, work on the business to then make it work a whole lot better and a whole lot smoother. So then therefore, when businesses run smoothly, they're going to be more profitable. It's a great segue then to let's talk about, because this is what we've just really in our Profit Generator program, we talked about internal problems that we can fix. And the Profit Generator program, the 6-week program we had, was all about setting the foundations right in our businesses, your businesses, so that you can start building a business that operates as efficiently as possible, whilst also getting rid of a lot of those internal matters that then we can fix. And then once we fix those, we become more profitable. So looking and sharing what happened in our 6-week program, what I would say is that those who completed the 6-week program, they set the right foundations in their business. They did a lot of work on changing their mindset and understanding about how their interactions, their decisions, and what they do can impact how successful their business is. And a lot of our business students who did it as well, they could recognize initially, it's like this light bulb moment went off, where they could see what they'd done before in the past that was holding them back, always held them back from growing and having a profitable business. So what I would say is Rome wasn't built in a day, and even though those who did our program, not all their problems has gone away, but they now know what they need to do to fix those problems so they can become profitable. So what we did get was a group of business owners who in 6 weeks, they set goals, they worked out where they were financially and where they want to go financially and what they want to achieve, but then also looking at what their bad habits were and then replacing them with new habits that then support the goals that they have in their businesses. So the Profit Generator program was all about being able to pinpoint areas that were holding them back from building a profitable business. It's about seeing what these pinpoints are and then going, what can we do to make that stronger, correct whatever course we're on, whatever path we're on, and make it what it needs to be so it supports a business that is profitable. And everything that we do in this program, it's a little bit of a rinse repeat. Building a profitable business is building a strong body. It comes with repetition. It comes with seeing week by week the progress you've made and seeing that you're getting stronger and seeing the improvements and the changes that are then getting you to the right direction, taking you along the right path to get to achieving your goal. And so eventually what happens is, for these guys, it's only 6 weeks. I can guarantee you that in less than 12 months, they're going to start seeing these massive changes. And when they do, eventually everyone around them will start seeing these changes as well. And it's exciting to be able to see changes happening. So working on your business is about really having that strategic long-term goal and having decisions that help your business grow. And eventually over time, when you start looking at essentially what these are all, is internal problems, internal issues that you have. And once you start building on those and overcoming them, it's then being able to then succeed and becoming profitable and having a business that serves you. So the Profit Generator program was about focusing on really about setting goals and visions and developing a roadmap where do you want to go to? Where do you want your business to be? And some of the things that we did talk about in the program was, like I said, like setting some goals and visions, building systems and processes, and just really understanding why creating really good systems will then create a really strong infrastructure that helps your business become efficient, and then also means that you don't have to constantly be putting out fires. We also talked about the importance of sales and doing the right things to get your marketing strategy right, looking at your sales strategy, looking at your brand positioning, and really focusing in on that sales piece, because sales is one part of becoming a profitable business. Understanding who you're trying to attract as a client or a customer and what customers you want to retain. And then in the long run, looking at if we change things like how much we charge, and there's little tweaks, understanding how much, if we buy certain goods, what's that change going to look like. And then we also talked about in the program, looking at financial planning and investment, about making decisions around the allocation of resources, cash, and seeing if we had a big serving platter, we've got a whole lot of cash, and that each part of the cash that comes into the business from sales needs to serve the business in a different way, and just making sure we allocate the right amount of cash to every part of the business as where it needs to be and where it fits best. And we also talked about as well, like in our program, about innovation and growth strategies, looking at how we can get new opportunities, diversifying outside of the business, and looking at how we can scale the business as well. What I would say as well is that if you're in a position where you haven't done this, maybe it's time that you start working on your business and looking at these internal matters, because like I said before, the internal factors that hold back your business, these things you can change, unlike the external factors where change isn't directly in your hands. So there's a distinction between the Profit Generator program and how this can help you. What I would say is that business is tough, and sadly, for one business owner to another business owner, I know that personally that I found this out the hard way. It's really horrible sometimes, but as well, it has some great wins to it. And whilst I found out the hard way, I know a lot of other business owners did, but what I did have to do was I had to get on board to learn more than just the accounting trade, right? I had to learn a lot about other areas of business, and that's what we need to do. These are internal factors. These are internal things that are happening in our business that we have control over. The external factors we can't do much about. While you have no control of those external factors, you can control the stuff that's happening internally, even if it's bad or ugly. While you can't control everything that's slowing down the economy or whatever it might be, or other impactors, Donald Trump throwing tariffs around everywhere, you can start looking at your own business, and you've got to look at what's happening in your business and what can you do to change it so that you can survive it. And particularly when external factors come up and there's a stop sign that's in front of you or a dead end, and it's an external factor that you can't control, and it's reducing your sales or making expenses higher. Looking at the internal factors and the things that are happening in your business can then lessen the burden of those external factors you have no control over. What do you want to do to make sure you have a business that serves you and then also doesn't add extra headaches or extra nightmares for you or extra things to worry about that just makes business life so difficult? So there are a lot of things you can do, and it's just ensuring that you stop and look at what's happening inside the business. And it's just a matter of taking charge. And it's your responsibility as a business owner to go, yes, I know I've got to do that, and let's do it. And that's what we do in our Profit Generator program. And for those students who finish it up, like I said at the start of the podcast, it's about celebrating today. And I want to celebrate those guys who did the program, getting 6 weeks done and going through it. It's about they've set the right foundations now, and now they've got to keep going, and they've got to keep building on these foundations so that then they have a business that serves them. So guys, if you want to know more about our programs, how we can help you deal with these internal controls so that you can lessen the external factors that you can't control, and how we can support you, reach out. Head to our website. There's some free downloads there for you to have a look at and to download and to help you get started. And then if you want, get in touch with us, and we'll be only too happy to talk about how we can get you on our next Profit Generator program to help you have a business that you like, that you love, and that reduces these internal problems, and so you can face the external problems that you can't control. And then if you want further help, you know where to find me. So I'm Nathan Rigney, I'm the Profit Generator. Thank you for staying tuned and thank you for listening. And if you like this video, please give us a love heart, whatever it is, and be also sure to share our podcast and our reels with your friends and family. So guys, thank you for supporting, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time for some more exciting Profit Generator, business, accounting, podcasts. See you guys.